one. All right. Greetings, everyone. Tell your mama, tell your friends, tell your daddy. This is where the fun begins. Good morning.
We sorry,
Yeah.
y'all. You tell him don't drink that Starbucks.
This is what happens when I've been off of that coffee for at least 3-4 days, and I get back on that stuff. Oh my goodness, here we go.
We apologize. We weren't expecting
it. We ain't apologizing for nothing.
Oh, yeah, that was a shocker.
It was.
That was a cold water splash in the bed by your spouse.
Y'all don't know. I came through
Wake
like,
up.
all right, we're here. We're here this morning. I had to talk to him about some things. I was low volume like this, and then I came on out. You got the jolt. They said, "What?" They got that shiver.
And it is literally cold. Like nobody's really feeling this cold right now. I'm sorry.
I'm in winter clothes. This is 59 degrees here in Florida, in Tampa. It is winter clothes. Oh yes.
Oh, that's when the fur coats come out in Florida.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, this is not Covenant Awakenings, but guess what? This is just as fun, just as interesting. It's just as conversational. It's just try not to be too ignorant. But you know, we have Brother Walt in the background doing his thing, making breakfast,
making coffee.
I'm
trying to catch up to you.
Mr. Shard typing on out letters.
Warp speed.
Me sitting here in the back looking for some articles about the continent and what to talk about next. Oh. Yeah, this is what we do here. So go ahead. We gotta beat the algorithm. All right. In order for us to be successful and to grow, we need your support by hitting the like, share, subscribe, because that is honestly what we do. Here's the things. Brother Walter said this the best the other day. He said, listen, we have good content. We're doing good things, but people don't know what we're doing. And that's the honest truth. People don't know what we're doing, what we're up to, what we plan, how we implement, how we execute. And this is where we are because, you know, this is kind of the forward face of when, you know, I get sliced and diced hibachi, you know, all week long by the board. Talk about, you want egg, I do volcano. As I'm frying up like fried rice, like that steak. That's why I feel like I'm going to the board. They got that. Hopefully they got that.
It is not that bad. It ain't that bad. We cut everybody. We all get cut. Hey, ain't nobody above reproach.
Nah, they cut.
Carrots get on me. Carrots, you get on me too. Stop playing.
Look,
and I can't do them. I can't do nothing but take it because I understand. I dish it out. I have to be able to take it.
Yeah.
And I just sit there and be like, "You right."
Listen, there are days I show up to the board wondering if I'm still on the board. So stop.
And that's the same thing, that I say about, y'all. I come in, y'all missing, and y'all somewhere else, and I be like, "Where y'all at?" And I don't get no response because I be thinking that y'all done got rid of me. I told y'all get rid of me. Tell me. Don't sneak out on me. Don't go. Well, we can meet over here. No, just say, "Whoa, we don't want you no more," and I'm good. Ain't no hard feelings. Hey, what the scripture says? Shake the dust off my feet and keep it pushing. That's all.
Listen, there are days they say, Brother Karras, what are you up to? I said I'm up to about 15 jobs I done applied to on LinkedIn, and I know about 13 of them are ghost jobs. But you know what?
Hey,
Brother applying for jobs. Can I ask the chat to do us a huge favor and help us out? Can you post your city and the temperature? I'm nosy.
Yes.
Is anyone more cold than we are? Hold on. Let's see. I think it's 39 degrees here in Atlanta.
Oh, that's too cold.
42. It's 42 in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Woo! We got winter weather, y'all. Where were you and what's the 40 degrees? It's colder in Atlanta than New Jersey. Are you kidding me?
What?
42 in Georgia. 42 in Baltimore. Like it's actually colder in Atlanta than some of these places north of us. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
45 in Montgomery. Orlando 64. Okay, that's where I need to be today.
Yeah, it's colder. It's colder here in Tampa, and Tampa off the water than it is in Orlando. That's crazy. That's
wow.
And let me tell you, now just think about this because you had coming up the state of Florida, Georgia, even Atlanta, going up into the mountains. There are folks that don't even have shelter in this.
Oh,
that's
you're
crazy.
Right. It's crazy to think about.
It's warmer in Chicago than Atlanta today.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
Wow.
Well, I'm still not moving. We'll give it a couple of weeks. It'll be cold up there.
Couple of weeks. It ain't gonna be cold. It's gonna be a tundra with all this.
Too.
With all this weather, it's gonna be a tundra. It's gonna be looking like the day. What is it? The day after tomorrow? That one climate movie.
Oh goodness gracious! Perfect storm.
But that's serious though. It's kind of like climate refugees. Isn't that like the terminology? People being climate refugees. Like, when have you heard about southern United States being colder than the North and the Midwest in October?
Today. Hey, today.
Wow.
Today's the first day.
Wow. Thank y'all for
being a climate refugee, you already know that Canada and Mexico that closed that border. He talking about Air Holmes. I need to get up on that, Air Holmes. I'm a climate refugee, Holmes.
Hey, I heard it said that Build the Wall was really code for locking everybody up inside the United States so that they can't leave.
Exactly.
That's what I took it as.
Y'all thought y'all were keeping people out. Nah, they were locking everybody in here.
Exactly. They were saying, yeah, we'll build a wall, keep everybody out, not knowing that they can lock the gate and you can't get out either.
Yeah, prison wall. That's crazy.
So, Sister Shaw, are you trying to say that, Red and I are going to have to build a makeshift float to float on over to Cuba?
Yeah, you're going to have to do something. Get you a couple of them palm leaves.
If I'm floating to the Caribbean, y'all, I'm going to Jamaica. Now, Cuba's food is good too. Cubans are a close runner-up to Jamaican food. I mean, I have to give Cuba its props for some really deliciousness. But if I'm a float anywhere, I'm floating to the Bahamas or I'm floating to Jamaica.
Well, I need to fly from somewhere. To the continent. I'm not floating nowhere. I don't mean. Nah, I'm good.
Well, listen. Speaking of the continent, thank you, brother Garth, for the article. Let's talk about BRICS. Let's talk about the continent and the interest that was made by the Sahel, by AES wanting to join BRICS.
Hmm.
What does that mean? And so a lot of the West right now, it's panicking. And I want to be, let me go ahead. Before we do this, I want to do fair use because for us to get the context on this, excuse me, we have to show you all the video of what's happening. So that creates the backdrop. Now, here's also something that's happening to the continent, especially when we talk about the Sahel, which is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They have taken the lead on the outright cutting off of ties of decolonization. Whether you want to talk about neocolonialism, whether you want to talk about, diplomacy and all this other stuff, Western diplomacy, hegemony, all this other stuff. Those three countries, they're in the interior of West Africa, have literally taken a stand to create not just a visa system, but they are creating the wealth by taking back its resources. Now, for those that have ordered the Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS, I went over this extensively. I covered this extensively. Why resource control, resource management is key in creating financial viability through wealth. Because if you can't create your resource, then create the structure of controlling your resource and your resources, then guess what you don't have? You do not have a way to negotiate because those that you're negotiating with are already grabbing your resources because they're using some sort of a nefarious group or activity to remain in control. I saw this in my news feed before I go into this. I saw this in my news feed the other day. It was in my LinkedIn post. And when I look at the post from folks, especially in the community that I had worked in for quite a while, they'll bring up different tidbits of information, things of that nature that, sometimes I'll ignore it. But other times I will kind of sit back and pay attention. And this was one of the times that I paid attention to this post because it came on the heels of a very important um, subject that was in the news, especially if you're here in South Florida. And I think, Sister Shar, you probably would appreciate this. This was from a LaDavid Michael specialist. I'm just trying to remember it off of the memory of when I read and reviewed that post a couple of days ago. It was talking about it was an anniversary, a 5-year anniversary that, quote unquote, celebrated the life of our brother over there serving in Niger, doing, quote unquote, special operations activities. And we'll just leave that where it's at. But I want us to recall that the whole time when specialist LaDavid Michael's wife was asking the question, well, what is he doing in Niger? Why was he there in Niger? What was going on in Niger? And nobody could say what he was doing. And that was 5 years ago. And now understand what we just witnessed in Mali a couple of months ago. Understand they brought that up, that incident. Why are they using Ukrainian forces that are backing up literally Western affirmed Al Qaeda forces, terrorist forces, with, it can be assumed, U.S. and Western equipment that had been given to Ukrainians? What was the deal with that? And a lot of people started to ask those questions. Why was that happening? We didn't know what that meant 5 years ago, but we understood it was a big enough scandal that it got a lot of people's attention. It got a lot of people's attention. And I remember that because the congresswoman that was out of the Miami area, particularly where LaDavid Michael was from, the Miami Gardens area, she was asking Congress to release information, to provide information, to, speak on that. And I remember that this was a very heated situation because where I was working at that time, this was going on within that community. And now we understand that as these nations, these Sahel nations, they are turning their back on the West. And we have to realize folks don't really understand, well, why are they turning their back? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Because we will get told, and we got told that what? It was for counterterrorism operations. Well, what does that really mean? Everything was just counterterrorism, counterterrorism, counterterrorism. And we didn't realize that counterterrorism, all that technically meant was going on in, destabilizing, and wealth extraction, because destabilization means lack of resource control. Brother Walsh, this is Shar.
Isn't that how the enemy does though? Like the strategy has worked for all of human history and it continues to work. Divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. When you when it's interesting because when we're looking at international news and we hear about counterterrorism or insurgency, we're not always looking at it as the fact that Western powers are inserting themselves in another person's nation,
Business.
empowering uh, empowering a group of folks with some money, some weapons, some provisions to
Right.
create chaos, create
Yes.
chaos in someone
Yeah.
else's nation. And the connection between the destabilization and the resource control is such a great observation and analysis, Brother Karras, because I mean, I can only speak for myself, but like for my whole life, hearing about the regions of the Middle East and Africa and destabilization, it kind of gets old. It's like, well, they always fighting, but not thinking.
Why
Not,
are they fighting? Yeah.
Exactly. Why are you fighting in your own house? Have you
yes.
not yet learned to get along?
Yep.
But it's other people outside of your house causing problems, to keep chaos and confusion so they can come in and plunder your resources for the betterment of themselves and their friends.
Yep.
So they come in, cause confusion, and they taking food out your refrigerator while y'all in the living room fighting.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep.
mm.
It's such an effective strategy. It's so effective. Like it's almost tragic that Africans here in the diaspora, continental Africans, that we have not peeped game. That
Mhm.
we have not
Exactly.
peeped game and begun doing a better job to refuse to be divided. That doesn't mean that we're going to
Exactly.
agree on everything 100%,
Mhm.
Yep.
but when you know that this is how this joker has literally kept the nations in confusion to steal from them. It reminds me
But
of there's this image. I wish I can find it. There's this image of two people fighting over a cow. One person pulling at the head of the cow, the other person pulling at the tail, and it's a lawyer down beneath getting the milk. Like,
but Sister Shard, they do that to us as a nation of people. They
Mhm.
have us fighting and killing each other while they stealing all our money.
Yep.
We go to
Mm.
work and buy their things that they create, and we fight and kill each other, rather than we figure out some way to keep our money in our own community for it, for something more than an hour. Because we make money, then we go out and we buy these things to impress people that we don't know or don't like us.
Hmm.
Exactly. Thank you, brother Walt. Sister Nisa JP, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
If you all would like to support Quest Unite Africa, Q2UA, you can support the mission by visiting quest2uniteafrica.org. You can visit quest2uniteafrica.org. You can also do super chat, super stickers. We are working on we're working on membership. for this channel. For those that want to support the channel, that's what we're working on, so we can provide great content from our like-minded content providers like Brother Garth and others that are expressing interest. Um, Continue to help us grow this channel. Thank you all for your support. Um, I want to go ahead. This is from Make Africa Great. And the title of this is Mali to join BRICS as AES to come with single visa. This is about 13 days ago. So I want to have us listen on in.
Those who are in the diaspora, let me salute you in the name of Pan Africanism and welcome you to this session where we are going to share some updates from our beautiful continent, Africa. Have a good update from Sahel countries, the countries of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These countries, remember, it is almost 1 year since they formed their own federation after withdrawal from ECOWAS countries. So, as I speak to you now, leaders and ministers of these countries are in discussion on how they are going to form their own, or form the single biometric passport and also single visas. Having single visas will help these countries, especially citizens of these countries, to move free from one country to another. So this is a thing that we have been asking for Africans, or for African Union, to have a single visa for all African countries to move people, to move free from one place to another. So these countries are ahead of us. They have decided to take the steps, and we wish other regional bodies to take the same steps, like East African Community, SADC, even ECOWAS itself, Maghreb, and other communities, to allow free movement of people and goods within the continent of Africa. You know, we have these continental free trade areas. It means we need people to do business from one country to another, but having these lot of visas will always become the obstacles of businesses. So, kings and queens, this is a good move for the countries of Sahel. You know, these leaders of these countries are soldiers, so they are men in missions. As we remain in Sahel, let us stay in Bamako, Mali, where Mali is in the process of joining BRICS countries, to join other African countries who are applying to join BRICS countries. So you remember it is almost 1 month ago when Zimbabwe President Emerson Mnangagwa expressed his desire for the country of Zimbabwe to join BRICS alliance. So it looks Africans are more interesting with the BRICS, because you know the Western alliance, like UN and other Western countries, always trying to dictate Africa what to do and at what time. But BRICS, it looks like a new game changer, and of course.
So BRICS looks like a new game changer.
Of course it
And
is.
any thoughts? Because this isn't just coming from the diaspora. You're hearing it now from the horse's mouth.
Well, with that, with that, give some context to the. Did we ever talk about the information that Sister Darlene got from one of the longshoremen recently about whether or not there actually was a strike?
You know what though? We can talk about it, and I think when we talk about it, let's ensure that we caveat this as uh,
Hearsay.
we're it's a secondhand discussion, right?
Right.
Well,
There are reporting standards to that.
well, as
Yeah.
well, right now, I'm not having this conversation as a reporter. I'm having this conversation as a discovery activity. There's information and belief, right? So when I
mean, I say that.
Hey,
I say that because
that's that
honestly,
lawyer talk.
I say that because
It's
honestly,
discovery.
it is literally a community guideline. So so we have to
okay,
be able to. Yeah, we're prefacing that
so
based on secondhand
we
information. This is
we
secondhand
we
Right.
information.
have a secondhand account, hearsay, a conversation that happened at Lowe's in a Eastern
Southern
Georgia
state.
township.
Yes.
That the parties to this conversation involved one of our Q2UA volunteers and a person who introduced himself to her as a longshoreman.
Mhm.
And she asked him about the strike. And his response was
strike?
interesting. What strike?
You don't strike? You don't strike? When that happened? I didn't even
And
know. I've been to work every
so
day. I didn't even know.
the question becomes, could it be, and this is pure speculation. We're just taking a look at the little breadcrumbs of information that we have. All of these other nations embracing an international currency that literally has the power of sanctioning the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be a cover story to explain how economic sanctions through the embracing of BRICS will impact imports? Because the United States has been purchasing imports on debt. Is that a correct
That's right.
Yeah, it's a
assertion?
debt-based system. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
debt-based system. And if you are being called for your debt, then that's going to be a supply chain effort that's going to affect how this nation particularly receives imports, imported goods, goods that come in through the port, and also how goods are exchanged, how they are exported, how they flow out of the port. Because why? Because there has to be a settlement process. Understand that settle and I always say this: there's no coincidence. There's no such thing as a coincidence. The strike happened September 30th or at midnight October 1st. If you don't, for a lot of folks that aren't in government, that haven't been in federal government, the budget for the fiscal year, it ends September 30th. The new budget begins for the fiscal year, begins
Yep.
October 1st.
Exactly.
So there is a lot that can be asserted on that the speculation that potentially the U.S. may have had to negotiate and renegotiate things either with the World Trade Organization or the IMF. Now, understand this makes perfect sense because the IMF and the World Trade Organization was saying that the U.S. was at risk for default. Because of
Mm-mm.
why? Because it was carrying too much debt. And understand this economy is shaky because it can all be seen within the consumer that people aren't buying what they're used to buying. People don't have
Mm.
access to the things that they used to have access to. And that's across the board. Jobs are not there as they once had been.
Exactly.
And it's the picture in my mind is you taking Chuck E. Cheese tokens to the grocery store and attempting to buy groceries. It's like the US has
What am I
Chuck
do with
E.
this?
Cheese tokens in the global marketplace.
Hmm.
No one accepts
Yep.
Chuck E. Cheese.
But Chuck E. Cheese. And then
But
Chuck
Chuck
E.
E.
Cheese
Cheese.
ain't. But then once Chuck E. Cheese run out of their supply, what we gonna do?
What we gonna do?
And
I know
that's
what I'm
it.
doing.
When
I'm
Chuck E.
moving.
Cheese runs out of supply, ain't no more ain't no more band on the stage, being able to
Mm-mm.
do what Chucky did. When
Chucky has left the building.
when them robots don't have the wires anymore or the other components that's needed from China and other places.
Mm.
Yep. They're gonna leave the building. Exit
Mhm.
stage left.
And to me what's fascinating is it happened slowly. Was it 2020 or 2019? It was 2019 when the US its credit rating was dropped.
A drop. Mm-hmm.
So the US took a hit in its credit score in 2019. And now, 5 years later, we're seeing the nations moving to say, in effect, your money's no good here.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
it's gonna be a slow fall. You know, it's like killing them softly. You know, people aren't gonna see it because they're gonna keep being entertained. You know, by their favorite pop stars and athletes, and well, the movies aren't what they used to be anyway. So they're gonna keep being entertained and shown new shiny things. So they're gonna look at these shiny things while the earth is crumbling. Well, America is crumbling behind them.
Absolutely. So brother Walt, let me take a look at this article. This is from RT. This came on out October 8th, 2024. And it says, what does BRICS expansion mean for Africa? The new African members of the group have come with both challenges and opportunities. And I want to come on down to here. The BRICS Plus now represents 46% of the global population, accounts for over a quarter of the world's land area, with a combined global trade share of 28%, attracting 25% of FDI, which is foreign direct investment, and holds substantial potential to boost worldwide trade. Effectively speaking, they want to get out of the dollar. So, what does that mean for Africa? Egypt and Ethiopia both hold considerable power within their regions. In addition to having diversified economies and large populations, their membership in BRICS bestows a unique platform to amplify their voices on a global scale. Basically, they're using Egypt and Ethiopia as the jump off. With the Nile and with Ethiopia's dominance,
Hmm.
because Ethiopia has a name for itself that nations will respect, i.e., Addis Ababa, i.e., African Union.
Hey, well, of course you get friends with the biggest person on the block if you want to change something, because
And
he's
that's
going to impress upon his friends, to hey, I'm part of this organization. Y'all come on, join me.
Because here's an article. This is the meat of the article. I always delve down a couple paragraphs to get to the meat of it. Egypt and Ethiopia could serve as gateways for other BRICS nations to access the African market. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, of which Egypt is a member, provides BRICS with direct access to regional market. This could lead to increased intra-African trade and deeper economic integration. That's the foundational or cornerstone paragraph right there, because I want to follow this up with this one. Let me share this. Thank you, brother Garth. He shared these articles. At BRICS Summit, Russia to push to end dollar dominance. This is as of 16 October. Today is the 18th. So this is just a couple days ago. So understand, what you have here is the countries coming into agreement a with a proposal, and this is Ancestor Charlotte. Let me hit you with this one. Here it is. Here it is. Because you're gonna like this because you just stated this. Among other initiatives to facilitate trade and investment, Russia is also proposing a BRICS Clear. The document calls for better communication between credit rating agencies and member countries, and for a common ratings methodology, but stops short of proposing a joint BRICS ratings agency, an idea that the group had discussed earlier. Sister Shar, why is credit rating so important, especially when the U.S. had just technically, quote unquote, declined?
Because they about to give the U.S. some ghetto. U.S. gonna have a ghetto rating. Like U.S. is gonna have to have a secured credit
loan. Or they could give them African interest rates, they've been giving the countries in Africa.
Mm-hmm. They're gonna be on the bottom. It's a demotion of the West. Like, okay, you've been dominating with your guns and your fiat, and now if you want to play ball with the nations that actually have the stuff, you need to secure you need to provide some collateral.
Yeah, or you have to go to that buy here, pay here spot.
Exactly.
To get you some.
Rent center.
They're gonna have to go to Scott. They got Scott. They gotta go to payday loans.
Yeah, they have to get a payday loan, baby, with that 70% interest rate.
Well, it's funny because it's something that we had kind of discussed internally. Is that what the U.S. is pushing to do anyway? Are they working towards doing that anyway? Because understand, if you default, what do you have? You just have land that nobody owns, areas that nobody owns.
Well, you have to give up something.
That's what I'm saying.
So people come in and go and start repossessing stuff, hooking up the record, taking their land.
Come on now.
I'm gonna take these 1,000 acres, these million acres. I'm gonna take all this. All y'all jokers get out. Come back with the sheriff and all the stuff. Be sitting in the state next to somebody, so we can take all y'all stuff.
Weren't they getting mad because China was buying up all these properties that were next to military bases?
So what if China wasn't buying them? They was just repossessing them.
They were repo. It was a repo.
Oh,
so that's why when you look at the 2019 credit score drop, that was when the U.S. was demoted to third world. It just hasn't caught up to the consciousness and the day-to-day comfort of the average American yet. And the reason why I was so sensitive to this was because I was working on a Social Security matter. And I went to go do some research on the Social Security's website and its portal for attorney training. And in the training materials, I happened upon
drum roll.
I happened upon the content I was searching for in the subject matter, and there were two trainers on this video. The first trainer steps up, a female, and she says her name, which was Chinese. And then the second man steps up and he introduces himself with a Chinese name. So I'm first of all, I'm confused. I'm like, okay, this Social Security agency. This Social Security.
Hey, you getting your check from China. China's giving you your check. That's what it is.
Social Security. And here's the other thing, because again, y'all, I worked several years at legal aid, and what I had witnessed just 3 years leading up to that point where I was now in private practice, I was researching something that had to do with money, of course. And I knew from my legal aid practice that Social Security has started hitting people with overpayments back to back, like between 20 2015 to 2019, people were getting hit with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 overpayment letters because somebody was cleaning up the books. And the same exact thing happened in the IRS 2018, 2017, 2018. People started getting hit with cleanup letters. So
now, who
I'm thinking about the cleanup letters.
Who good with money?
Right.
What nationality, what countries are really good? When you think about bankers and people who are really good with numbers, who do you think about?
They seize the books, y'all. I'm sorry, but I've seen this from my practice. Somebody got hold of the books. They training in the Social Security Administration. They began cleaning up the books, the IRS, the Treasury Department, and Social Security, pushing people off of the payroll and collecting debt. They are not playing. So as far as I'm concerned, when I saw that, and then I saw the credit rating drop, I say, oh goodness, the US got demoted to third world and China is repossessing. That was the immediate understanding that I got, given the fact that I had seen them already cleaning up the books.
Things that make you go, that's interesting.
So
the PPP loans, as far as I'm concerned, hold on. Can I say something about PPP?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure I've said this before, but I felt like that was a trap. I felt like the PPP loans were a net. It was like a honey. What do you call it? A honey trap?
Honey pot. Honey trap.
Yes, a honey trap. Yeah, it's a honey pot. It's a honey pot.
There was so many people panicking. So many people worried about how they were going to make money, pay bills, everything's changing, that they were lying, scheming, and scamming to get that PPP money. One of my son's friends, his mother is the head of a bank. She's a bank manager, and she was so disgusted with the amount of fraud that she was seeing, but the bank had no power to do anything. They were instructed by the PPP administrators, just accept the applications. They were not in a position to flag or say, hey, nope. And this bank manager was pissed because she said, you should see how many people lying in to get this money.
Wow.
And then what did you hear? 18 months after that, you started hearing, I began hearing from tax professionals about the scary letters. I'm telling y'all, those scary letters, when the government start collecting, the government said, oh, you said you had 50 employees. They were putting in fraudulent Social Security numbers. They were playing games. A bunch of people started having to do plea deals for federal fraud. A lot of people got, especially our cousins, fooling around with what looked like quote unquote free money.
Yeah,
ain't that
people were buying exotic cars. They were, buying.
Yes,
it was so ignorant, and it was like you already knew. It was like the government's not going to give you anything for free, and then they don't collect.
I don't understand how people ever. I mean, the government ain't ever gave you nothing free. Even the cheese wasn't free. Because it wasn't real cheese, but I digress. But because it didn't melt, it never melted.
Nah, you had to cut those things into 8 squares. Try to have strips on that. Try to put that thing in the oven. Try to fry that thing up.
Listen, I've had government cheese, and government cheese don't melt. So anything worth something, it's gonna cost you something. So ain't like I say, ain't nothing worth something free. So they just got people.
Yeah. So that's why I give a side eye to all the UBI messaging that I've been noticing over the past 2 years.
So let me I'm going to share this. This is also another Another one, Brother Garth gave us. Burkina Faso's prime minister expresses interest in joining BRICS. This was as of September 24th. So this was last month. So this says here the prime minister of Burkina Faso, Apollinaire Joachim Kyelem de Tambela, met with Russia's ambassador to Ouagadougou, Igor Martinov, to discuss the country's interest in joining the BRICS group, as reported by Sidwaya. According to the Prime Minister, becoming part of the BRICS group could foster more equitable international trade and encourage the development of trade in national currencies. Additionally, the two representatives discussed the upcoming Burkina Faso Economic Days, which will be held in Moscow from 8 to 11 October. This just happened a week ago. The event aims to explore potential partnerships between Russia and Burkinabe companies with the goal of enhancing bilateral trade and economic relations. The African head of government also highlighted the shared political vision of Russia and Burkina Faso. And I'll let you all read that. Brother Garth had posted that earlier in the chat. I brought that up because I wanted to reiterate that earlier when I was talking about how the Sahel has, and the Sahel is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, how they have become, when you do passports, you're also going to do other economic building activities. There are economic building activities that occur. And when they occur, that creates the opportunities to go outside and to establish bilateral agreements. Now, understand what that really implies is that Burkina Faso really wants to have a BRICS reach out directly to a core member, vice Ethiopia and Egypt. That's what it looks like to me. Is it wrong in terms of how they want to politically play the game? No, not really. Because they're looking out for their own interest. And on top of that, there are some things that would be, in my mind, especially having been to Egypt multiple times, I really wouldn't trust Egypt either. I can't say the same for Ethiopia. But what I have experienced with Egypt, I would not trust Egypt. Egypt is just too wired in to the West. Go ahead,
Brother
Sister
Paris, what was the name of that movie? Was it Captain Phillips?
I think so.
With this is the image I'm getting in my mind. I'm getting the image of like the Sahel moving, like how those Somali, the Somali pirates move when they bust in. And Buddy said to Captain Phillips, played by what's his name? Oh gosh, I can't think of the actor's name. He say, look at me, I'm the captain now. Like that is what I picture here. Like that scene in Captain Phillips. I'm the captain now. You think you running stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a new world order.
Yes. Yeah, they said Tom Hanks. Yeah, the movie Tom Hanks.
I was looking at the actual video. I think it would violate the rules. We're not going to show it. but that was the picture of and not only by force, but with economics, the same exact way the West put the world under its feet.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And now, you have African nations because they don't trust each other either. And you've had with Egypt more than 2 millennium of distrust because you know let's just face it, they became a Greek satellite with Alexander the Great. I'm just saying. Ptolemaic era. I'm just saying. So nobody in Africa, the African nations, they look at them very, very warily. So I understand from the perspective of the Egyptians, they've wanted to kind of quote unquote be more integrated within Africa because I think they understood the economic decline that was happening in Europe back around 2015, 2016. I could see that. I understood that. And then they tried to become more African focused, African centric, things of that nature. That was El Sisi's aim. But again, after a couple millennia of, being subservient to the West with every type of policy and things of that nature, um, their standing was very, very heavily damaged. And I say that their political move of joining BRICS was to provide that conduit that the Nile and the Red Sea, especially with the Suez Canal, offers. Now, okay, that's all fine and dandy. However, now there's still issues that's there, and this is where these nations, the continent, are seeing. Okay, well, if I'm going to go through BRICS, through these BRICS Plus members, let me just try to go through with China. Let me just try to go through with India or Russia. Because even with South Africa, there's still elements in South Africa that they can't trust with how they have policies with boars and things of that nature. Yeah, Egypt is still part of the Arab League, but Egypt is still heavily, heavily um, promoted by the West. The West leans on Egypt. And remember how the Arab Spring was when that was like the very first time that they just said, "Nah, we're trying to get under the thumb or get from the thumb." That actually was a backfiring of the Arab Spring because it was the Muslim Brotherhood that took over, and they were not a very Western friendly um, organization. So, in doing so, basically, another coup was staged, which people don't realize. LCC was a staged coup, and LCC grabbed power, but it wasn't the way that the West perceived it. He actually went off script and he started to go off code around 2016, 2017, when he was trying to prop up Egypt as an African nation. Because when I was there in 2017, 2018 timeframe, oh yeah, they definitely wanted to see themselves as a satellite of Europe. And then it started to quickly change on the ground that no, they'll tell you now, no, we're Africans. That sentiment is now being fostered. We're Africans. We've always been Africans. We may have been invaded by Europeans, but we're Africans. My oh my, has the tone changed when, again, folks are poor. Anyone want to add anything?
This your lane, brother Karis. I sit back and I'm learning and observing and getting educated on how things connect over there.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. But it is really interesting.
So understand, these are complications because it, the future is the BRICS payment system that's getting ready to launch literally in less than a week, more than likely. It's probably already launched with some beta trial systems. That's how that goes. They already do the CBDC in a beta form, probably being done between Russia and China and India and South Africa internally. And now it's going to be, at a bigger, more scaled out system, which in my opinion will probably be um, online very, very quickly, probably towards the end of this month. So when they try to say, oh, it's January, no, it's always quicker than that. It's always quicker than that. Oh, they're already using it? Dang, how did they roll that on out? They're going to roll it on out.
I guess because they've already been tested it, so hopefully they have fixed all the hiccups.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that they haven't been testing it just recently. Understand, they've been testing this thing probably for years. Because here's the thing, BRICS has already been, their payment system's already been utilized with how Russia and China do trade already. That's how they've been able to bypass sanctions and everything else when Russia invaded Ukraine. What's going on, Brother Walt? You better be careful on that ladder.
No. I'm driving.
Okay. I thought you were setting up a ladder. Make
No,
some
I'm
things
driving.
birdie.
I'm sorry.
You know what I'm saying, Sister Shar? Anything to add? She's probably in the background typing.
You already know.
Hey, I'm sitting here just getting educated, but all this stuff makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
but then, my question is, when they roll it out, how would that, I guess, like you were saying earlier, it just would be a slow churn to destabilize the dollar. And like I say, this fiat currency, these Chuck E. Cheese tokens will slowly stop being accepted throughout the world as a dominant currency. Is that what you're saying?
I believe so, and I believe that there's kind of like, um, unstated rules to this, because I want to show this article, and this is one of the last articles that I have. Um, this is from RT. Again, shout out to Brother Garth. African state removes colonial era names from streets. Niger says the label served as reminders of historical abuse under French rule.
That sounds like what they did. Well, I know in Alabama a few years ago when they started removing Confederate statues from public places because they didn't want a reminder of it. That's interesting. Start cutting
Here,
down the history that attach you to your oppressor.
come on now. Niger's government has removed the name of the late French President Charles de Gaulle from a major street in the capital, Niamey, and renamed it Djibo Bakari, a key figure in the West African nation's independence struggle. On Tuesday, several historic streets and monuments had their French names removed by military authorities since taking control of Niamey in a coup last year. The new leadership has been seeking to cut ties with former colonial power France. Most of our avenues, boulevards, and streets bear names that are simply reminders of the suffering and bullying of our people endured during the ordeal of colonization. Nigerian government spokesman Adramane Amado said during the name changing ceremony. And why is this?
That's super interesting to me because I did a training on sex trafficking several years ago, and at that time learned that a part of the power and control that is imposed on victims of sex trafficking is that their names are changed. They're given a new name. And so to me, and then I learned later that there were also some other very esoteric implications with the imposition of names or the changing of names. We know that from the transatlantic slave trade and the removal of our own names for the purpose of controlling us. So that is very powerful to remove the name. It also reminds me of how there was one king of Israel, I believe it was Josiah, and he went throughout the land removing monuments that were foreign and that were unclean according to the ancient customs of Israel, right? So the removing of names is huge. Like I'm literally like getting excited at the spiritual implication and the empowerment, the psychological empowerment of removing the foreign name and the foreign control and the symbolism of foreign ownership from their lands. Hats off to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's power. There's a power, and that's why look, they want you to, if you didn't change your name, adopt, something that's a little bit more Eurocentric, Euro friendly. They would still have their root names because their root name still provided that tribal affiliation. But they're realizing that what they have essentially yoked themselves to, again, as stated, the power of the West is being diminished. And as the power of the West has been diminished, now they're realizing everything that has empowered the West has to now be removed. And to me, this is what it looks like. It's like this to me, that what I see. We don't just want to join BRICS, but we're showing you how serious we are because we're showing you that we're literally taking off a spiritual yoke. That's what we're doing as a people. Because then what ends up happening is then people try to reminisce. Well, I guess it wasn't that bad. And then they realize, as they get the nostalgia, people then try to romanticize, i.e., what you see here, and some political campaigns by the right. That's all I'm saying. When we had them folks in slavery, remember how good everything was? And people have romanticized about that here regarding us. They just don't want to say it in so many words, and they don't want to be so blatant about it. But
Oh yeah.
they understand that was when they were literally an economic powerhouse off of the blood, sweat, and tears
Of a
of
certain group of people.
group of people. Exactly.
Exactly. Yep. So they want to go back to that, but we not having that no more.
So now understand there is a real sense of the loss of power that is being felt. And for some odd reason, I was watching DW. It's basically Deutsche Broadcasting, their news, German news, and they were talking about Europe's economic slowdown that's occurring. And for the life of them, the Europeans are asking, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get out of this economic slowdown.
They'll get out when it comes an economic stop.
And I had to laugh. I had to laugh because they're not even realizing that the economic slowdown is because they don't have the ability to get resources on the cheap that they once had. Of course, you're going to go through an economic slowdown when you're no longer able to just run ramshod and take all the resources that you want to take without any other reprisal. Of course, that starts to look crazy. How are we not getting ahead? Well, you're not getting ahead because these nations have put a stop really to the looting. So now understand you're suffering because why? Because you had unfair balances and unfair scales. Will your economic or your economy ever go back to the same? Probably not. Because why? Because there has to be real economic adjustments that have to happen in order for equality and equity to be a viable solution. So before we continue, I'm going to go to a commercial break. And we'll see you in a little bit.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership and communication skills to a global level? Join Karis Copland and Shar Salasi for the Art of Diplomacy Challenge, a transformative 3-day event that explores the powerful connection between strategic communication and marketplace diplomacy. Unlock the skills to lead with empathy, build lasting relationships, and make an impact in the global business arena, all rooted in the strength and beauty of the African diaspora. Don't miss your chance to learn from world changers and spread your positive influence across the world. Reserve your spot today.
All right, we're back from a commercial break. Thank you for continuing with us. What say you, Brother Walt, Sister Shar?
It's a new world order. You know what's funny? Growing up with the way that we were taught about the new world order, it was supposed to be like this one event, right? This one day that there's this this one leader and there's this one money system and the end will come. But when you look at the fact that the world order has always been about money, and it has changed and evolved several times,
Mm-hmm.
then it's extremely interesting to be alive during another changing of the global order of finances and international trade. What an exciting time to be alive. What an amazing thing to witness, and how important it is for us to kind of see it coming, because it is moving in slow motion. Again, the US credit score drop was 5 years ago at this point. And when you're dealing with national economics, I'm learning here, when you're dealing with national economics, global trade, these things are moving a lot more slowly than what you would expect with a domestic corporation. We're talking about international corporations and their dealings. And this is a great time for us to take this information and position ourselves to benefit from the change, because every time there's been a changing of the world order, there were people positioned to profit from it, to get ahead of it, to not get got by it. When the Great Depression, and again, I'm learning history now because I never thought it was interesting before. I'm now understanding the importance of history. When the Great Depression happened, it was hard on people who were sitting, going through their day-to-day, not paying attention, while others were positioned to literally become millionaires in that change. So this is powerful information. I'm just digesting it and taking it to heart. I'm seeing the opportunity for us as a community to be more intentional and supporting each other in how we position one another to benefit from what is happening. It's not, this is not going back to the status quo of the US dominance in the dollar. We all know that. So since this change is happening anyway, how do we position ourselves as a community for this to be a come up for our people? That's how I think.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Brother Walt. All right, he's on out there doing a saw to prayer. That's what we call it, a saw to prayer. Where he has a saw and it just sounds like he's for those that have been in Middle Eastern countries, y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness.
You know he's gonna get you back.
Oh yeah, he's sharpening that wood chisel right now. He's getting that thing sharpened. But I got that blade for you, Brother Karras. I got that blade for you.
He be so calm about chopping you up.
Yeah, What did they have you do in the Marines, Brother Walt? Is that what your cover story was? Okay, all right, okay. But I was never the same again. No, but but no, this is really the time, and these are the opportunities that we have to take advantage of as a community. And it comes with being able to position ourselves in industry and being able to provide help to our brothers and sisters on the continent. You know, the reality of what business is drastically different than what we've learned of business. See, we've learned in business that in order to do business, it's always something that's transactional. There's always a give and take because if you don't get your value, because your value is your money, if you don't get your money, then what are you doing as a consultant? What are you doing advising? What are you doing, on out there? Because, hey, you're going to go broke if you're being nice. No. And reality is it's about serving the people and it's about service. That's a different paradigm. Okay, go ahead, Sister Shar.
That's why, Brother Karras, we've been developing a way to involve millennials and Gen Zs in stepping into their leadership and stepping into their gifts, talents, and abilities, and mobilizing those talents in the marketplace as neo-diplomats, as influencers of the global economy. They've been talking about it ever since the internet became it became a staple in every American household, and now globally there is only one marketplace, and that is the internet. Mm-hmm. And so we've been talking quite a bit about developing our youth, because remember what we heard out of Kenya, Brother Karras, about all of these young people without jobs and how frustrated they were that their government was coming back and telling them, oh, we're working out deals with other nations to get you jobs as housekeepers, as janitors, mm-hmm. as groundskeepers. What? We're talking about young people with advanced degrees, yeah. Bachelor's and master's degrees, some doctorates, and not having any kind of job opportunities being provided by the government. If you ask me, this is a global setup for a mass UBI program. Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll take care of you. You'll get your check every month. No, oh no, no, no. So we are actively developing that training center, that mentorship, that grooming for millennials and Gen Zs to step into their leadership, to claim their place in the global marketplace through entrepreneurship, and teach them how to do it.
Yes.
Sitting back and waiting for your government to take care of you. No. Because what they've already demonstrated is that they will continue to give you some false job reports. They will continue to have these ghost jobs sitting out here, just giving you busy work to do while waiting for some kind of government benefit to cover your necessities and wasting your time. And we're not having it. We're recognizing that we have a huge opportunity as a people to equip, empower, encourage, and deploy our young people into the marketplace by teaching them. So that is something that we're actively developing. That is ultimately where the art of diplomacy is going. It's going for raising up a generation of leaders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you understand how we're able to innovate on an idea, innovating on an idea just isn't just one person. It takes a group of people, because some people have the logistic skills, some people have the technical skills, some people have the organizational skills. It creates an environment to be impactful. See, we didn't understand how this environment worked because, especially here in the West, we have been segmented in how we utilize our skills. They've been the folks that have been in power have done an awesome job keeping us segmented, because they'll say, no, we'll use this here, we'll use that there, we'll use this there, and continue to have them denigrate and demean and dehumanize and demoralize each other, because if they don't know how to talk or communicate with each other, then guess what? They don't know how to build with each other. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm. Divide and conquer. Destabilize, destabilize, destabilize. Keep you divided. Keep you fighting. Keep scandal among you. Like I was intrigued. My child is 12, and I'm listening to him and his little friends on their online gaming talking about baby oil and Diddy. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like we have we have nonsense that is so pervasive in the culture and in the messaging and in the things that are getting our attention. All of this stuff is time killing. It's killing our time and our opportunity to position ourselves. It's happening. What are we going to do? And how are we going to do it together? And how are we going to get over whatever the issue is, family, right? How are we going to get over it? I've heard it said by other leaders in our community, and I will repeat it here. We are all we have. We see this tsunami forming. How are we going to ride the wave and not get wiped out by it?
How do we establish a bridge for any type of currency shocks and currency shakeups? How do we ensure that there is a mechanism for managing and operationalizing resources? And keep in mind, those resources, we're not talking America centric. We're talking resources based off of currency through relationships. How do those relationships get you from point A to point B? We had that the other day with a relationship that some folks wanted to abandon, without going into a lot of detail. But I'm a relationship guy when it comes to stakeholder management, stakeholder engagement, staying engaged.
You're a textbook extrovert, Brother Curious.
I am. I am. And what ended up happening was the situations that had developed to try to limit our interactions and involvement with this particular person, it fell by the wayside because there was a campaign being waged to keep us away from that relationship that was actually a fruitful relationship.
True.
And so when I had said, man, this is on my spirit, I need to reach on out to this brother. We need to reach on out. It came with opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I know, I understand. I said, but that's what I feel in my spirit. And then lo and behold, when things had become clearer because the Most High had revealed some things going on, we were still able to talk and maintain that relationship that was trying to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be mindful of how we can't get with our feelings, and we have to see the reality. We got to see those receipts, because understand, everything that we have been exposed to has always been some sort of a speculative, nonsensical talking point. Well, how did that happen? How did this happen? Well, they done said this, they done said that. It's this and that. No, you don't need to talk to them because you see how they reacting. No, you don't need to do that because see what, and that is literally what will be displayed in trying to derail relationships. That is the truth of the matter out here. Q2UA, Quest 2 Night Africa. Well, let me tell you, them folks don't want to see that. Them folks don't want to hear that. Because if that is what we're doing to unite Africa, then what does that mean? Well, naturally, that's a destabilization effort that they're going to perceive. That's a destabilization effort. Well, if you're trying to unite Africa, and we've been doing the exact opposite over the last 800 years, then what are you all doing? Now we're gonna sophisticatedly deal with you. So much media. Thank you for the gift. Hallelujah. It's about relationship building in the community and abroad. Yeah, peace and blessings, family. All right, thank you, brother. That's where we're at in this. And we have to be careful in how we manage our relationships, because even right now, with what Sister Shar and I and the rest of the board are doing, we have to be careful of how we interact with our brothers and sisters on the continent, because we don't want to be seen as pushy. Well, we need to push. We need to push. Let's be pushy. No. Because that is actually the opposite. Go ahead, Sister Shar. I know you got something.
No, I was just unmuting myself. I was sparing y'all from the sound of his keyboard, because as you were talking about that relationship, I remembered that I was supposed to send a follow-up WhatsApp message. So I was getting my WhatsApp on in the background, and so that's why I muted myself. But just to piggyback your sentiments, it's so true how we need to have a double side eye as a community, as a whole. We need to have a double side eye on any person that is speaking divisively, that is making accusations without verification, without proof or evidence, and who is seeking to tear us apart, to distance us, to keep us from talking to each other. Because that is textbook. That is the art of war. That is how you conquer. And I appreciate you, Brother Karras, for remaining steadfast, because I did. I was one of the ones that was like, buying into the narrative without verification or support. And looking at a relationship with the side eye based on what someone else was accusing but not proving. And I appreciate you and thank you so much for protecting that relationship, for maintaining that relationship, because I literally had to turn around and eat crow and pull on that relationship this week in a pinch. And it was extremely valuable for a community stakeholder that you maintained that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great thing to where, I every day I have to pray that I'm dealing in wisdom. I have to. Every day. Because we don't know what has been opened. See, what the Most High does, he opens up the doors and then people try to close the doors that he's opened. But he's literally opened up the doors. So it's not look, the Most High will close the doors when it's time to close the doors. But what I will do is, look, we got to keep those doors open because it's not going to be us that closes the door. He's going to close the door.
That's right.
Based off of what they do.
That's
right. It.
Yep.
That's it. And you know what we do and how we interact with one another, we've learned here in the West, shut the door. Shut the door. Don't shut the door. And understand everybody is flawed. Even the way we think about one another, it's flawed. So now imagine when I go and I talk to these folks over on the continent, when I go and I interact with them, understand they see our flaws. Because why? Because we can't see it.
Yeah.
They know our flaws. Because why? Because they study us. They studied us for years. Because why? Because they want to emulate us, but they don't want to have a lot of the flaws that we have. They don't want to have the agenda. They don't want to have the selfishness, but they'll look at everything else that they want to have. And this is where we literally have to be mindful of how we talk and approach one another, because again, going abroad and talking to our brothers and sisters on the continent, and I appreciate it because they have to look at each and every one of us with a side eye, which is totally appropriate. Totally appropriate.
And this is this is a really great point, because what it does for me is it reminds me how we should all see ourselves as ambassadors of our community. We should all see ourselves as the representation of a positive influence or a positive image or a positive experience, because there's so much propaganda that we have to overcome through the way people experience us. And my journey has I've always kind of been in those environments around people who don't really know Black folk, who don't really know Negroes, who've never been in a Negro home or eaten dinner with a Negro family. And I never thought about it on a conscious level, but I was providing for these other communities an experience of us that doesn't look like the propaganda that is telling everybody to be afraid of us, to avoid us, or to take advantage of us, or to treat us like we're stupid. And so what you're saying, Brother Karis, to me, it's a reminder to all of us who are with Q2UA, supporting Q2UA, praying for Q2UA, praying for our community at large. This isn't just about the organization. It is about our reputation in the global spaces, our image. You know, when I think about our fall from glory as a nation and our captivity in the scattering and in the diaspora, it has been such a fall from grace that now our return to our former estate is a diplomatic assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Because
really
what we carry is the name and the reputation of the Most High. He is restoring us to put respect back on his name. And when we are showing up contrary to his nature, which is love and truth, we are not representing the king. We are not doing our jobs as diplomats. We are bringing embarrassment to our reputation, and we are empowering the propaganda that has accused us of all of this foulness that we are not. So thank you for that reminder, because we are diplomats, we are ambassadors. When you experience me, you should experience the nature of my king. When you experience me, you should be drawn to the one who I call king. And that is an diplomatic assignment. That is the work of an ambassador. I was about to pull out a real big one, and I'm like, nah,
ambassadorial.
Yes, that was the one I was going for.
I know it's an ambassadorial assignment.
I had to bring it back.
I'll say it. I'll say those big words.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Yes, we are all ambassadors, whether we realize it or not. This is why when we see young people that look like us, they're our children, they're your cousin's kids, acting the fool, you feel shame. Like, wait, hold up now. This not us. You know, when our children are showing up in spaces in ways that are the exact opposite of the way we've trained them and the way we've taught them, that is an embarrassment to all of us. We all feel the twinge, the cringe of how all of us are represented, or all of us are experienced by someone who's not behaving themselves in alignment with our culture of dignity and respect. We want respect. So yes, it's an ambassadorial assignment.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a word, Sister Shar. And we can talk later, kids.
Look it up.
We're definitely gonna talk later.
Hey, can I take a jab? Can I take a jab at the kingdom ministries and all the people that's been talking about kingdom, the churches and talking about kingdom? You have no clue what the kingdom is. It's not this spooky manifestation of running around a church in a prophetic hollering session. It's about living your life in a way that reflects who you serve. Because you understand that when you are a diplomat, when you are an ambassador, when you represent an authority, you can only say what that authority says, and you can only do what that authority tells you have authority to do. You cannot act on your own or in your own interest, because you are acting as a fiduciary of the throne. Exactly. It ain't spooky.
And if you act of your own accord, you get dealt with when you get back.
Exactly. You hear him sharpening up that chisel in the background, Brother Harris?
I got it. Hey, I'm just saying, you know.
You got that wood chisel out.
Hey, it is okay.
He got his coffee. He got his chisel. Yep. All right, now you about to get got.
There to go.
So y'all pray for Brooke Harris on the weekend after Shabbat. You may be dealt with when he get back.
Mm,
Hey, I'm still in Babylon. I have to go get it.
mm,
We all are, Brother Walter. And what a blessing it is for us to have another day of mercy extended to us. The scripture says that with the rising of the suns, the mercies of the Most High are renewed. What a blessing. What a blessing to receive the mercies of having breath today and having the opportunity to show up and advance the kingdom with your voice, your actions, your laughter, a hug, a word of encouragement, whatever it is that you bring to your community to serve in the nature and the love and the manner that we're all called to serve. All of us
Exactly.
here to do the work and to represent the the throne that's above every throne, right? And I don't want to get too deep into that because we are here speaking on behalf of Q2UA and the mission of Q2UA. But our mission is to serve as ambassadors and to do great work and to advance the cause and the economic development and the critical infrastructure of Africa because we've heard from our counterparts on the continent they want to do business with people that look like them.
Yeah, they want us, to get together and make things happen because the colonizers have only looked out for themselves. So I guess their hope and our hope is that we can find some common ground to work together to be beneficial for both of us.
mm. Well, anything else? Any other word? Because that's all I have for this week.
Hey, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Out here trying to get it down.
Yeah. Thank you all for your support of QTUA. We're here every Friday beginning at 7:30 because this is the early bird hour for us, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And here to keep you updated, here to keep you connected, here to remain in relationship with you because this is our currency. And you know what, Brother Karis, the other thought that I had too while you were going in, if neo diplomacy and our relationships is the new currency,
Hmm.
then we need to figure out how to be better stewards of our relationships.
Yep,
Yeah,
We need to
that's really
treat
what it
our
is.
relationships like money. We need to know how to treat it with respect and use it wisely and invest it.
yes.
Mm.
So thank you
Do
for
what you
that. I
say you
mean,
do.
yeah, that was a good word. And that's all I have for you. Thank y'all everyone for supporting.
Yeah. Thank you, family, for joining us and continue to support the mission.
Hmm. And again, if you'd like to support the mission of Quest to Unite Africa, please donate at quest2uniteafrica.org. Quest2uniteafrica.org. We will never solicit for donations outside of this website right here. We are a 501c3 nonprofit charity, and this is how we receive donations. And it's through that website right there, quest2uniteafrica.org. So, family, I will be back on Monday. I'm going to be back on Monday around 7:30 just to do a kind of quick update. I always do special reports because, things always happen on the weekends, globally speaking. And we'll talk about that and what's happening in today's news and what that means for us. We will be back on for our Friday discussions next Friday. And please, again, support the mission of Q2UA. It is a worthwhile mission. We are doing worthwhile things. And when we are able to see how things are moving, it will be an awesome thing to witness. I have Brother Garth here. He's going to be on a little later at 10 o'clock.
Exploring the news, the motherland at 10 o'clock. Join me, family, as I discuss the topics that are going on in the motherland and are pivotal to our mission here at Quest to Unite Africa. Thank you, Brother Karras.
All right. Thank you, Brother Garth. All right. So you all will be able to see him later on today. For those that want to sign up for the Art of Diplomacy Challenge that takes place December 3rd through the 5th December 3rd through the 5th. You can do so at the link provided. I'll also have that link on the Covenant Awakenings channel. And we will go on from there. It is worthwhile because I'm telling you, family, these relationships and relationship building, this is it. I don't know how else to tell you. You see what's happening around the whole world. Guess what? That's going to start to happen, and it's going to start to be close to home. We talk about all the prep and preparations and preppers and all that other stuff. But if you notice, one thing that they never talk about in these prep shows and these prep channels, they never talk about relationships. So I'm going to tell you this. The biggest setup in war, coming from a retired Army officer, a commissioned Army officer, one of the biggest setups in war is when you do things by yourself, because divide, you easily conquer. A three-stranded cord is not easily broken. That's all I'm saying. So understand to get into your strand, for real. And that's the community that we have at Q2UA. So if you'd like to volunteer, please do so. Please sign up at quest2uniteafrica.org. And with that, that's all I have, family. Garth will be on up in a few, and you all take care, and we'll see you all next week.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership and communication skills to a global level? Join Karis Copland and Shar Salazi for the Art of Diplomacy Challenge, a transformative 3-day event that explores the powerful connection between strategic communication and marketplace diplomacy. Unlock the skills to lead with empathy, build lasting relationships, and make an impact in the global business arena, all rooted in the strength and beauty of the African diaspora. Don't miss your chance to learn from world changers and spread your positive influence across the world. Reserve your spot today.